Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's daily analysis video, brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, everybody, into the action we go today on this Thursday, January 6th, 2022. We're going to start with the daily chart today on the S&P 500. You can see basically we're right where we opened the day. Anytime you have a long tail on the top, long tail on the bottom, and basically no color at the middle point there where current price is, that tells you that's exactly where we started. Volume today, 69 million. We do have a little time left, about 19 minutes remaining in the trading day. So my guess is we'll get to about 80 million by the close. A little bit less volume than yesterday. Well, actually a decent amount less than yesterday. Again, don't be surprised at that considering we haven't seen the crazy volatility that we saw yesterday on the sell side. All right, bottom line is, markets are not getting a big bounce back today. I think overall that's a slightly bearish signal. All right. Now, again, in the olden days, you would have seen, and when I say olden days, I'm talking like, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it is, you would have seen a big bounce back after such a flush. The buy the dippers would have come out strong. The volume would have gotten light, and they would have been able to carry the market up for a significant portion of the day. If we flip to the intraday chart here, you can see here that, and I don't know why that trend line's there, but you could see here that we did get a little buy the dip initially here, then we flushed, then another buy the dip, and basically we've traded sideways. The market's been unable to take out this short-term level on the spiders and really get momentum to it. In fact, towards the end of the day, we're starting to kind of crater just a little bit. We're not back to the lows of the day, but we're, again, as I said, back to where the market opened today, which was slightly lower. And again, you have to look at it like this, right? We saw a big rally on Monday, right? Or a decent rally on Monday. First day back, new money flow. I talked about that ahead of time being the likely scenario. Once that was over, this market has struggled, folks. And again, the Fed kind of piling on it yesterday, talking not only about tapering and raising interest rates, but also letting assets go off of their balance sheet. Their balance sheet is $9 trillion. $9 trillion. Right? That's a huge, and you might be like, all right, well, what's $9 trillion? Well, consider it like this. I mean, just a few years ago, it was basically close to, $2 trillion. So, I mean, that's a lot of money that or a lot of stuff they put on their balance sheet. So it is a big deal. If they're going to start unwinding their balance sheet, it's additional tightening. I mean, everything the Fed is doing is now in the reverse, it appears, at least for the time being, and that's going to inevitably bring the markets in, bring valuations in, and so forth, all right? So there's still going to be opportunities. You guys have seen it. I mean, today I picked up more SE. That's had an awesome bounce. I mean, look at that bounce today, folks, on SE, trading at 194, puts us beautifully deep in the money already on that, and I still think this one's going to go higher. I mean, if you look at the move down on this stock, and this is just going back to early December where it was at $290 a share, but this was, $360, $370 a share. Now it's not going back there. It should have never been up there, and you guys know I was short this for a long time. But do I think it can get back to this gap fill right up here? Yeah, I do. Absolutely, and probably within not too long of a period once the market stabilize and these stocks start to get a bounce. On the other side of the coin, NET is not really getting much of a bounce today. It's not down much, but again, not what I was hoping for. I was thinking today you'd see SE bounce as well as NET, and you could see NET down about $2 on the day. But same type of chart. If you flip over to your daily chart here on this, I mean, look at that collapse. And it's looking more and more like it kind of wants to test this area. In fact, it got very, very close. This is also right at the even number of 100. That's one of the reasons why I didn't add to this position today, because that even number is just glaring at me and saying, okay, listen, wait for it to pierce the even number, then jump in it at that point and add to that position. But again, just talk about a waterfall collapse on stocks. I mean, some of the biggest gainers from, the first 11 months of 2021 turned out to be some of the nastiest sell-offs, not only in December, but also into January here. All right, so those type of charts, again, definitely keeping me interested. I'm keeping a close eye on Square. Square's another one that I really like, getting a small bounce today. But look at this rollover. Now, this one trades a little with Bitcoin, but you have a major support here and another major support right down there. You can see it got very, very close to that level and did not quite get there. On the positive note, and this is kind of something I've preached, the Chinese stocks are having a fantastic day. Alibaba today up over $5.60 here. Great move up. You can see the little bullish consolidation pattern right there popping today. Take a look at Baidu today. BIDU up $7 essentially. That also had a bull flag consolidation there. And other names as well. I mean, Pinduoduo having a good day, up 8% on the day. Futu, FUTU, which is kind of like an online broker in China that has, they have other assets in other places around the world too. But again, up to over 11%. And again, my thesis to you guys has been, not only do I think cryptocurrency underperforms with the stock market for 2022, but I think gold outperforms, and then select areas of the market will outperform. I've said Chinese stocks, I think, are due to outperform. I think money flow is going to look for other areas outside the U.S. to go to. China is obviously going to be one of the recipients of that, as well as South America and other areas of the globe. And again, certainly nice to see the KWEB. Take a look at the KWEB, which is the ETF that tracks the China internet sector, also having a nice day, up almost 5%. And this is all while the S&P and the NASDAQ essentially are flat to negative on the day. All right, so that's where we stand on that front. Again, markets kind of struggling, hanging in there. You can see the Spiders daily chart right here again, down about 25 cents with about 12 minutes to go in the trading day. If we continue down on the Spiders, there's not a whole lot of support until you get down to this upsloping trend line. So again, just keep that in mind. I think that's important. In fact, I do want to throw up my moving averages as well, because this, you can also get a better sense of why did we bounce off the lows right there. Look at that, the 50 MA right there. So basically the markets are holding this area for now, but certainly we're not seeing a robust bounce, right? I think we can all agree down 36, 37 cents right now on the Spiders. You wouldn't call that a robust bounce off the 50 moving average. Now, if you look at the 50, it's been hammered and pierced multiple times. All right, I'm still in the camp that we're going to go to this line. You'll get a bounce. Then you're going to go to the 200 moving average, where you'll get another big bounce on the overall markets. Okay? All right. Let's go to the NASDAQ 100 here. You can see right here the low of the day matching this low right here. This was actually a level we talked about in the live day trading room as being a great level. It turned out to be a phenomenal level there. Really nice day in the live day trading room today, 4 for 4 in the morning session. We just continue to kind of grind it out with this beautiful volatility out there for us. But again, I'm in the same camp. I still think, you got a little bounce off this level, but you got to go to this upsloping trend line, and eventually, you'll get a bounce there probably, but eventually you got to go test the 200 moving average on the QQQ daily chart, and that's currently at 363. So it's still another $20 to $21 away from the current price, which now is down about 50 cents on the QQQ here. Interestingly enough, we are seeing Apple selling off a little bit. Look at the fall on Apple. And by the way, you just got to chuckle because right here, Apple tagged $3 trillion. So, I mean, I was even thinking it would pierce by a little bit more because the momentum seemed on that side. But talk about like a weak pierce. It basically kissed it, didn't even close the day above $3 trillion. And since then, it's been straight down. To me, you'll have support on Apple right here, but it probably wants to touch that 50 moving average, which means, again, further downside on Apple over the next week or two. All right. Taking a look at some of the other ones here, Microsoft's had a big fall, continuing to see weakness today. This gap fill is a huge level on Microsoft, but again, you guys know me. I mean, this is a good level. Sure, maybe you get a few day bounce, but Microsoft, so overvalued, even though it's a great company, just like Apple is, it's got to go here. This is your target right down here, right around 289 to 290. 200 moving average is where that's going. It's also this pivot area right here. Tons of support right in that range. And again, the question is, how fast does it get there? It's another $23 to the downside. So, I mean, imagine you see Apple go to the 200, Microsoft go to the 200 as well there. Those two stocks, I mean, if let's just say Google and Amazon sell as well, those stocks selling down that much probably take at least 5%, maybe 6% or 7% off the NASDAQ 100 just to get down to those levels. So again, it's one of the problems with the market. And again, it's a great thing when the markets are doing well, where a handful of stocks like Google, Apple, Microsoft are just leading the charge to the upside. But it's also horrendous when those few stocks start actually coming down, and then they just demolish the market. Even if you get the underlying market technicals, I mean, even if you get the majority of stocks to be flat to positive, if those names are down, doesn't matter. Markets are going to go down. And by the way, we've seen the inverse of that, right? We've seen, and I've talked about this, I mean, you look at NET, SE, you look at Peloton, there's so many stocks out there. I would say a majority of stocks, more than 50%, are in bear market territory, way off their 52-week lows, yet the S&P and the NASDAQ just recently made an all-time high. Why? Because Apple, Microsoft, Google, basically those guys, those stocks were carrying the indice higher. All right. Let's take a look at the Russell here real quick here as we continue through. The Russell today is eking out a little bit of a gain. What a sell-off on the Russell yesterday, by the way. That was an absolute crushing percentage move, I think 3.5% or so. It is getting a small bounce today, but honestly, again, I don't look at that and say, oh, that's a great bounce. That's a strong bounce. Just like the S&P 500. I'm not saying, oh, that's a fantastically strong bounce. It's not. These are weak bounces. So again, whether or not we sell tomorrow or not, I don't know. Maybe we get a little bit more of a bounce tomorrow, but at some point, this market is going to crater again, folks. And again, I'm still holding my QID, my UVXY, my DXD. I mean, you name it, a lot of shorts out there that I do have, and I am looking to really capitalize on them, and we should get paid very handsomely for sure, guys. All right. Okay, DRV, by the way, has had a really nice move. That's one of my shorts as well. It's a long ETF, but beautiful move here, putting us in the money now on that one as well. And again, just kind of scanning through. I want to see Costco really crap out. That's one of the ones that I think is the most ridiculous in terms of valuation. Starting to break a little bit lower, but you can still see it's still kind of stuck in this upper range. But this is kind of like a triple mountain top, which usually signals a bigger drop coming. Because what you see on this, and this is good for educational purposes, folks, is that when you see a chart where you have a high here and then a pullback and then you get a higher high here, I mean, everyone's like, oh, it's a higher high. It's good, right? Well, that happened on Bitcoin. Was it good on Bitcoin? Not really, right? If we look at the BTC chart here, take a look, and I'll just use this one for now. But, here was your high. Here was a higher high and higher high. Now, granted, these weren't super close, but this one was with this one, and it was a very short-lived higher high. And what that basically is telling you is that when the highs are only slightly higher each time, it's telling you that sellers are emerging. Every time it makes a slightly higher high, institutions are dumping into it. And that's never a good sign. So I do think that Costco will be coming in hard here. I still have a projected downside target here on Costco, which is down around 475 or so in the near term. All right. So we'll continue to follow that and just kind of see how that plays out there. Let's take a look. We took a look at Bitcoin, so I'll go to the back. We'll just use this Bitcoin chart today. The big thing on the Bitcoin chart today is that the low today is actually matching up with the neckline, head and shoulders. So again, I'll show this to you guys tomorrow, but if you remember the neckline of the head and shoulders, we actually pierced it, but we're back above it at this point, at least for now. At least for now. We'll have to see where things go in the overnight. Now, is it going to break? Yeah, I do think eventually. I mean, maybe we get a week or two where it holds above. It is support, but I do think it breaks, and I think it coincides with whenever this market has its next dip. All right? Again, the leverage in the system continues to be epic, and it's got to be brought back in. I mean, when you see margin levels at all-time highs, even bigger than 2007, when you see what's going on in the NFT world, I think I talked about this yesterday with you guys. I mean, all these type of things are signs of an epically big bubble that the Fed created. Let's be fair. I mean, that's how it was created, just like in 2007 and the 2008 collapse. It was Fed-induced. But the bottom line is it has to be unwound. And when one domino falls, they're all going to fall. So just keep that in mind for sure when it comes to cryptocurrency. Now, I love crypto long-term. Well, some of them, I love them long-term. Just like Amazon. If you loved Amazon in 2000, it was $75, $85 a share. Then it went to $5 in the dot-com collapse, and we know where it is now. Would have been one of the most epically big investments if you had bought at $5 back then. All right. Going to gold. Gold and silver having big down days today. But again, I strongly encourage people not to really care too much. Yeah, it's a nice down day on gold, but are you still within the wedge pattern? Yeah, you are. So, I mean, really, if the wedge pattern broke and confirmed, that would kind of make me question a little bit about this. Maybe this breakout in the short term. But right now, you're just in this wedge pattern. Just leave it be. Now, silver's another case here, still kind of coming down here. Nice little sell on silver, 2.4%. But with silver, this is your line in the sand. Now, silver, I don't really have a direct position in. I do think that there's a chance that it does break down and maybe would go down to this area here where I would absolutely be a buyer. Lastly, we got to touch on oil, guys. Oil's having a big move up here, so I haven't added to my oil short by buying more SCO, but if we are up tomorrow, I will do that. So, again, I'm trying to give it a wide berth because, obviously, with the volatility in the system right now, it can be pretty wild. I'm a little surprised it was able to get above this area here, but, again, you're coming into some other major levels on the USO right up in this range. And again, we can slowly build that position, and I think we should be more than fine. At some point, that will come in very, very hard. All right, let's just do a quick check on the S&P as we get close to the market close here. Ooh, nice little sell. So there you go, folks. Markets are declining a little bit faster now as well. So we are seeing the market coming in here. Spiders are down about $1 on the day. Not a huge drop, but again, it's the point is that today the bulls were trying to kind of do a buy the dip, rip this market back up. They're failing. And I think they're going to continue to fail. And I think this market's going to go lower. So again, we'll watch to see. But I would expect that. And I think, again, I still think Chinese stocks will hang in there. I think the Chinese stocks, when you see charts, I mean, you look at the S&P chart, right? And I'll leave you guys on this note. And, just look at this chart, right? Just from COVID, the low of COVID, right? Look at that chart. Incredible, right? We were down. The low of COVID on the spiders was 219. All right, we basically got almost up to 500 on the spiders at the highs. 219 to 500 in basically a year, little less than 2 years. Then if you look at a chart like Alibaba, look at this. Where was your COVID low? Your COVID low was right here. I mean, look at this. You're down. Your COVID low was at a price of 171. You're down basically 30% below the COVID lows. You're at levels not seen on Alibaba since 2000 and probably 2017, 2016. So again, if you look at where is the quality? I mean, honestly, those are the names that I feel more comfortable in. Just the nature of the beast. All right. Going back to the spiders, we just bounced nicely. So again, markets are chopping around quite a bit. We have about a minute left in the trading day. We're now down only about 35 cents. So getting a good charge back. We'll see again where this all goes. You guys have a wonderful evening. And again, we'll see if there's some good action tomorrow for some new swing trades. Take care.